Said love Rastafari.
Yes, welcome to the Jamaica Young Police channel. To all our viewers and subscribers. At the channel, we are a group of law-abiding citizens who believe in the rule of law and respect the rights of every citizen, but not the ones who do not subscribe to such behavior. We do believe in and support preemptive strikes because it saves lives. That is a logical conclusion because preemptive strikes save lives and prevent the further loss of lives. We are all about saving lives on this channel. We at this channel aid criminals, their financiers, their supporters, enablers, and the likes with a passion, and we do not want them over here. Yes, let us repeat ourselves. We do not want any criminal supporters over here. Please, we do not want your views, your subscriptions, your likes, or your comments. Please go elsewhere where the red carpet is waiting for you. Over here, we want you, the criminal supporters, enablers, financiers, and all the likes, to go to prison or madness. Let's repeat myself. We are the Jamaica Young Police channel. We do not want the criminal supporters and their circle over here. We want you to go to prison or madness. Moving on to our video.
Yeah, so today you're going to, for the first time, you're going to see at the Jamaica Young Police channel where we'll be supporting and promoting the death penalty for this police officer. His name is Patrick Walters. Yes, he's a cold-blooded murderer. Yeah, man, he killed his girlfriend all because he was losing control. There's so many stories out there, but we're just waiting for certain information. But this man was a control freak, sick puppy. Yeah, we say sick. But as we said to you before, and we continue to say again, every time we release a video, always watch it to the end because there's something that you will learn from it, and you can use it in real life, and you can pass it on to your children, your friend, boyfriend, girlfriend, or whoever, because it's life lessons, and we impart it to you. So this is painfully disturbing. But one that must be asked in the interest of justice, accountability, and public awareness. When 23-year-old Constable Patrick Walters allegedly murdered his girlfriend, Dajani Maya Graham, and then attempted to take his own life, but failed, the question that rightly echoes in the hearts of many is, why didn't he take his own life first instead of destroying hers? That's all we say, you know. All right, you want to commit suicide, just go ahead and do it. Leave the girl alone. Why didn't he take his own life instead of destroying hers? It's a raw question. It's emotional and it's entirely fair. The cruel pattern of cowardice in domestic killings, in many cases, and as we tell over here, you get the real mama papa truth. In many cases, the killer isn't acting out of love. He's acting out of power and control and entitlement. When he senses he's losing control, especially over a woman who's becoming more independent, more assertive, or simply more alive without him, he doesn't choose to walk away. He doesn't seek help. He doesn't reflect on his feelings. He chooses to destroy. But here is the sick twist. These men really begin with themselves because it was never about escape or despair. It was always about punishment. Why did Patrick Walters allegedly kill her first? Because she had something he didn't. Life, purpose, potential. Because she had a future without him. And that killed him. Him feels that she can't live without him. Because he's the giver of life. That's why we say he must get the death penalty. And anything else out of that, if I know a death penalty, yeah, man, unless they want to kill him. I don't know why the police may pick him up, they never, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, you know, them couldn't do it, say, but, man, I mean, you know, it's just sad. But our deepest condolences to Maya family. Because Maya, she had a future without him. Because in his warped, delusional mind, if he couldn't have her, no one else would. That's not love. That's possession, narcissism, and a deep-rooted cowardice. Real men, sane men who feel overwhelmed by guilt or inner turmoil, take a path of therapy accountability, or in the gravest cases, take themselves out of the equation without harming others. But Patrick Walters allegedly chose the most craven, heartless and devastating path to take the life of a young woman who trusted him, a teacher, a daughter, a role model. And when he turned the gun on himself and survived, the world saw the ultimate irony. The innocent died and the guilty live. Jamaica must speak bluntly. We must stop softening the truth. This is not a lover's quarrel. This was not a tragedy between two people. This was murder. This was evil. He is the devil. This was avoidable. And the system must now send a clear message. Mental instability is not a license to kill. Emotional weakness is not self-defense. A uniform does not shield a killer. If the law confirms his guilt, Patrick Walters must face the full consequences without mercy, without delay. Yes, another will say. So in memory of the Johnny Graham, she had plans. She had students waiting for her return. She had the mother who loved her, world without end. She had no idea the man she let her into her life would be the one to end it. Let her death not be in vain. Let her story shake the nation awake. And let this question be burned into our collective conscience. Why did he kill her instead of walking away or turning the gun on himself first? Why? That's all we say. Since as you feel you can't live without her, go and take care of her and make she continue and live her life. But you understand? Because he was never a man. He was a coward wearing a badge. Coward, dummy. And we're going to give you a various scenario where, women, you're going to wait. You don't, these are warning signs. Because, we do have deep research into these things, why them happen. So the tragedy in St. Mary, a young teacher's life cut short in a parenting murder-suicide attempt. Richmond, St. Mary, in a devastating and deeply heartbreaking event that has sent shockwave across the nation. 21-year-old infant school teacher, Johnny Graham, affectionately known as Maya, lost her life in what appeared to be an attempted murder-suicide carried out by her partner, a serving member of the Jamaica Constable Force, Constable Patrick Walters. The incident unfolded on Wednesday evening around 9:15 p.m. at the couple's home in Richmond, St. Mary, place what they call Essex. It began reportedly with a dispute sparked by a phone call Graham received. That argument tragically escalated, ending with Constable Walters attached to St. Andrew North Police Division allegedly using his service weapon to shoot Graham in the head before turning the gun on himself. And I decided policeman over cars that the policeman forget no keep and carry gun. But I tell you some warning signs where the police hierarchy can use to detect police where have underlying mental illness without even the police force know. Graham, a bright young woman whose calling was nurturing young minds, was pronounced dead at the scene. The officer survived the self-inflicted gunshot wound and was rushed to the Anatomy Police Hospital where he remains in serious but stable condition. Oh, him not dead. Him should have just take female life first. That's how him should have done. A nation in mourning, a future stolen. This is not just another news story. This was the loss of a daughter, a sister, a teacher, a friend. The Johnny Graham, who was only 21 years old, with dreams, with still unfolding and a life committed to shaping Jamaica's future through education. She was the kind of teacher every parent hopes their child will have. Kind, driven and full of promise. In a country already grappling with gender-based violence and mental health challenges, this incident cuts even deeper. It's a reminder of how domestic tension, left unchecked, can turn fatal into an instant. And how power, when paired with emotional instability and access to firearm, can lead to irreversible loss. When those sworn to protect harm instead, the alleged perpetrator, Constable Walters, a public servant sworn to protect and serve, while we must be cautious Not to paint all officers with a broad brush, this tragedy does raise urgent questions. The police have to go look for this man. The police have to show him no compassion or sympathy or empathy. No, pray for him, for him go straight, him go at the party alone. How are our officers being screened, trained and monitored for emotional and psychological fitness? Are internal systems truly effective in identifying early warning signs of domestic instability? Should there be additional safety mechanisms to separate personal firearms from service weapons in private settings? We must hold space for complex layers of this tragedy, but also demand accountability to reform to ensure it doesn't happen again. As much as I wouldn't like it to happen again, there's a whole heap of sick puppy out there. Men out there who believe that them control our own another human being and vice versa. This cannot simply be another news cycle. Forgotten tomorrow. We must use Maya's name, not as a statistic, but as a catalyst of change. We need a national campaign on domestic dispute and mental health awareness, especially within law enforcement communities. Mandatory counseling and conflict resolution training for all police personnel. Protocols to remove service weapons from officers during documented relationship disputes or emotional crisis. Remember in Maya, let us remember the John Graham, not just as a victim, but as a vibrant young Jamaican who dedicated her life to teaching and inspiring children. Let us honor her life by fighting for the safety and dignity of every woman in Jamaica, starting with those who live and love behind closed doors. Let her name spark hard conversation in homes, schools, police station and parliament. Let her death not be in vain. Let Jamaica say no more. If you or someone experience domestic abuse showing signs of emotional distress, please reach out for help. You can contact the Women Center Foundation of Jamaica, Jamaica Mental Health Hotlines, or any trusted community leader. Your life matters. Your safety matters, and there's help. So we say rest in peace, the John and Maya Graham. Your light was taken too soon, but it must never be forgotten. So we want, so as we say over here, fire for the boy. Yeah, man, fire for Patrick Walters. So St. Mary grieves the young teacher slain. Yeah, man, Constable Patrick Walters hospitalized in apparent murder-suicide attempt. In one of the most gut-wrenching tragedies to grip the quiet rural community of Flint River, a 21-year-old woman lived with a violently and mentally unstable man, and her life was violently cut short by the man she once trusted and lived with, as Jamaica confronts yet another painful reminder of domestic violence, mental health struggles and systemic gaps in emotional support. The victim, Donna J. Graham, affectionately known as Maya, was a beloved assistant teacher at Beecham Hill Primary and Infant School, a vibrant young woman with her entire life ahead of her. She dedicated herself to the development of children in her community and was widely remembered for her warmth, humility, and selflessness. Her mother, shattered by the loss, wept uncontrollably while describing Maya as a loving me world without end. According to police report, the incident took place at about 9:15 p.m. on Wednesday, June 25, 2025, at her home, at her mother's home in Beecham Hill, where she had lived with her boyfriend, a police constable attached to St. Andrew North Division for more than 2 years. What happened that night? Earlier that day, while the couple was in Kingston, an argument reportedly began over a cell phone call Maya received. What may have seemed like a small disagreement festered into a volatile confrontation. When they returned home to St. Mary, the dispute resumed and escalated fatally. While the two were sitting on the veranda of her mother's house, the constable allegedly retrieved his service pistol and shot Dajane in the head, killing her on the spot. He then turned the weapon on himself, inflicting a gunshot wound to his own head. All he had to do was just take his life first. He didn't have to do anything and go on. The officer survived and now in hospital. He's hospitalized in serious but stable condition under police guard. Residents of Beach and Hill, known for its serenity, were jolted by the tragedy. Neighbors describe hearing the gunshots and then the mother anguish screams piercing the night. Maya's death has rocked not just her family but the entire school and community where she worked, loved and served. Reverend Dr. Anthony Armstrong, assistant chaplain for a year or two, visit the grieving families, calling it a tragic moment and pledge full support from the Jamaica Constable Force Chaplaincy Unit, peer counselors and trained psychologists. We are not just here for the uniform per se, but for all who are hurting, he said. This is not just a news story. This is a life lost. A mother's devastated, a community traumatized, and a nation once again reminded that mental health, domestic dispute, and emotional instability can become a deadly fix if left unaddressed. Maya was someone's daughter, someone's teacher, someone's friend. She had hopes, dreams, and a radiant light that touched those around her. That light was extinguished in a moment of rage and despair. It raised an urgent and disturbing question. How many more lives must be lost before we act with urgency? Where do we go from here? This is not just about one police officer or one relationship. This is about a systemic failure to detect emotional distress and toxic behavior in both private and professional settings. We need reform. We need solutions, we need protection, and most of all, we need to start listening. 1. Domestic violence intervention, mandatory counseling and conflict de-escalation training for law enforcement officers, a zero tolerance policy on threats of violence in relationship regardless of profession, urgent protocol to disarm officers involved in domestic disputes. 2. Mental health in the JCF. Mandatory mental health screening and regular check-ins for officers, especially those in high-stress units. Establish a confidential hotline for officers to seek help without fear of being penalized. 3. Community education and empowerment. Nationwide education campaigns and sign of emotional abuse, toxic control and red flags in relationships. Support for families like Maya, who now must pick up the pieces with trauma and never ask for. And this is a plea for all of us. Let Maya's name stand for something. Let this tragedy not pass in silence. Let it not just another funeral. Let us not forget the gentle young woman who combed her hair for everyone in the community, who loved her mother, world without end, and who never imagined her partner, the one who swore to serve and protect, would take her life. Let us use her name to bring awareness, to demand change, and to remind others that love should never cost your life. So don't wait until it's too late. Talk, listen, act, because silence kills. So we now say, yeah man, we believe in it. Our message is powerful and charged with deep emotion and understandably so. Another young woman had lost her life in a horrifying act of domestic violence. If the investigation confirmed that this police officer, badge number 23843, Constable Patrick Walters, took the life of Dejane Moy Graham, then justice must be swift, through and unrelenting. So we say, boy, we are ball for the death penalty. Death penalty for this woman killer. No mercy for murderers in uniform. None. This is the face of betrayal. This is the face of hypocrisy. This is the face of a man sworn to protect and sworn to protect and serve, but instead he destroyed the life of the very life he was entrusted to sheriff. The man in this photo, Constable number 23843, Constable Patrick Walters, is accused of brutally murdering his 21-year-old girlfriend, Dejane Graham, a promising young teacher who brought joy and knowledge to the innocent children in Beecham Hill Primary and Infant School. Dejane, affectionately known as Maya, wasn't just a statistic. She was a daughter, a role model, a friend, and a beacon of love in her community. But now she's gone. Shot in the head on the veranda of her own home, reportedly by the very officer with the service pistol, the same weapon taxpayers trusted him to use for public safety and not personal vengeance. Let us be clear, this was not a crime of passion. This was an act of cold-blooded execution. Where's the outrage? If this officer had been killed in the line of duty, we as a nation would be mourning. Flags would fly off mass and, GLP politician would fill the airwaves. But what about when an officer turned his gun on an innocent woman? We don't say the PNP LGBTQ plus criminal organization. There's a chance for them to lick out on police. So we are listening for them. So where's the outcry? We know so the Jamaica Constabulary Force, them cry again, them totally against what this police officer, and he's not going to get any support, rightfully so. And the Minister of National Security, Dr. Orias Channing, lick out against it. And you're not going to hear anything from Jamaican for justice, because guess what? Hey, there's a policeman, a killer, and in the jail, and they don't know if he may escape, he might find them. So they're not going to say nothing. You understand? This cannot be swept under the rug as just another domestic incident. This was murder, and if the evidence proves his guilt, then death is not just only the sentence, but it must be. Because we say, why the death penalty? Because deterrence matter. When a lawman murders, it shakes the foundation of justice. The punishment must match the betrayal. It must match a crime. You kill a woman because your ego feel bruised and you feel you lose control. No, you get the death penalty. Yes, this is a case where we want the government go for the death penalty. Because the journey, life mattered. Her future was stolen. Her students now mourn instead of learning. Her mother cries herself to sleep. Her dreams silence. Because we are tired of burying our women. Tired of flowers at gates. Tired of candlelight vigils. Tired of hashtags and tears. And Patrick Walters, your mother and father, if them gonna look for you, something wrong with them. Unless them are gonna tell us, boy, hey, look, I hope your seat's reserved in a L. None of them siblings, anyone who related to him, go and look for him. Them them have no conscience. I could never do that. As for me, no, I'm him, I have nothing to do with him. The uniform cannot protect killers. A badge is not a shield against accountability. In fact, the weight of the badge makes the crime even more grotesque. This wasn't just a man who pulled the trigger. This was a state agent using state-issued weaponry in a state-sanctioned role to commit a crime that violates both law and public trust. Let it be known, if you take a woman's life in this country, especially while wearing the uniform of justice, you forfeit your own, even Stevens. Justice for Maya, our blood on the state's hand. The justice system is now on trial. The nation is watching. If this case ends in a slap on the wrist, a technicality, or else a silent burial, then Jamaica is sending a message that women's life means nothing. Let's send a different message. Justice for Maya, prison is too soft, death for the uniform killer. That's how we say. Let's hear your voice be heard and share this image of the woman. Pressure the courts to make certain that this man get the death penalty. He may deserve nothing else. So we say a serious warning to men and women. Recognize the signs before it's too late. Most people in a relationship, and you can't know in time something is wrong with your partner. Anytime you see a partner jealous of even just jealous even of your siblings, your parent, your friends, people you and them grow up, and all of a sudden have problem with you talking with people on the phone, that's a sign that people are sick. A time you start decide off it. As Jamaican, I say, boy, start prepare for run, because you deal with a sick person. At first, them not a problem with everybody. Then once them get comfortable in their life, them start to tell you who you can talk to and who you cannot talk to. You must not allow anyone to control you. You must free for, correspond with who you want to talk with. This message is for the wise, the thoughtful, and the sharp-minded amongst us, men and women who value peace, purpose, and life. If you're in a relationship where your partner is controlling, possessive, and jealous of everyone you talk to, your mother, your father, your siblings, friends, co-worker, Run. Not walk. Not wait. Run. Sick people them then. If you have a partner with jealous of your mother, your father, your siblings, your friends, your co-worker, run. Not walk. Not wait. Run. When someone tries to isolate you from your loved ones, that is not love. That is emotional imprisonment. And it is often the first stage of something darker, more dangerous, and something even deadly. Controlling behavior is not romantic. It's a red flag. A glowing flare, a warning from the universe. And if you ignore it, you may not live to regret it. These are people who are sick. You have a partner, and everybody you talk to, them have to hear, and them have to see who you talk to. That is sick behavior. You understand? People free to do what they want to do. If you're in a relationship with someone and the person wants to cheat, are you to know if you want to tolerate it? But you can control people's life. You understand? And this man, based on the information received and obtained, this was a sick man. Sick. So to the officers and professionals, read this twice. Listen to this twice. Officers, you know your co-workers better than most. You share shifts, meals, and moments in the trenches. If you have a colleague, just listen to the police. If you have a colleague who is excessively quiet, never smiles, avoid eye contact, and never cracks a joke, that is not discipline or professionalism. That might be a ticking time bomb. Let me repeat myself, because no phone and I understand. Officers, you know your co-workers better than most. You share shifts, meals, and moments in trenches. If you have a colleague who is excessively quiet, never smiles, avoids eye contact, and never cracks a joke, that's not discipline or professionalism. That might be a ticking time bomb. And here's something you may not have heard before. If someone's eyes are completely white, no vein, no redness, no emotion, it's not cool composure. It could be a sign of mental illness. We're not a doctor, which I tell you, research where I tell you from. Mental health does not always show up in an unkempt ear, ragged clothes, or wild shouting. Many our most dangerous individuals are what we call clean clothes, mad people. They look tidy, but inside they are drowning in rage, depression, or psychosis. And when you mix emotional instability with power, authority, and the most dangerously, a firearm, you are looking at a potential killer in uniform. We must break the cycle. We must break the silence culture. Stop saying, boy, a quiet man. I just saw him stay. Stop ignoring the signs. Because someone looks normal, speak up, check in, alert your supervisor, get help, save lives. Your life is precious. Your peace is non-negotiable. Your instincts are valid. If someone makes you feel small, trapped, scared, or always on edge, cut the cord. Don't wait for proof. Don't wait for the slap, the threat, or the gunshot. Leave it before it becomes an headline. Where I tell you that this is just painful. What happened to this young girl. As I said to you before, when somebody are trying to control your every movement, everything that you have done, that is when you need to cut road and run. Don't wait, because by waiting, you might end up losing life. I would say, Constable Patrick Walters must get the death penalty. Death, yes. And it's unfortunate, why this man, why him kill her and never kill himself? Why didn't he take his own life instead of destroying hers? Why did he kill her instead of walking away or turning the gun on himself? But I question I ask, this boy is a devil, man. And I hope him rot in hell. Have yourself a beautiful day. Jamaica Young Police Channel out.